What's their plan for North Korea? That many of these are the same people that supported Bill Clinton's stupid, naive appeasement policies. Oh, we can bribe our way towards a peace with Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, and we'll make the world a better place. We'll just give him billions of dollars in energy and concessions, and we'll just say, pretty please with sugar on top. Whatever you do, don't build nuclear weapons. Well, now the North Koreans have the capacity, the ICBM capacity. Remember, this missile went higher than any other missile out of the atmosphere than ever before. It's now ICBM capability they have. We know they have nuclear weapons, and they're now precipitating a crisis that was wholly and completely done under Bill Clinton's watch and Barack Obama's watch, because they did nothing to stop it. And now the saber rattling is at a level that we'd never seen before, worse than it's ever been before. And so this is now the state of where the world is, having to basically hope and monitor that this guy's not going to fire another missile at Japan or Hawaii or Guam or anywhere in between. Joining us now, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I think you are correctly drawing people's attention to probably the biggest threat we face in the near future, which is truly a very serious and I think a very hard to solve problem.
Well, I don't think there are many good options, although you did actually raise my hopes in an interview when this happened the last time by saying that we might have new defense capabilities that most Americans don't know about, which would include something on the lines of an electromagnetic pulse that could shut down the entire country of North Korea.
I think that there are a number of tools in our arsenal, and I think that we're being pushed towards using them. I also think we're pushing the Chinese very hard to make it possible for us to keep them off balance, if you will. And I don't think that we should give up on finding a peaceful solution. But we should recognize that what's happened in part is that Kim Jong-un, the dictator of North Korea, has been educated for a generation by watching Western American presidents say big things and do nothing. And I think that what you're seeing shift is that we now have a president who means what he's saying, and we've got to somehow get through this. I mean, it's really very important. I happened to have a chance yesterday chatting with now Secretary Mattis and a few other people to get a feel for the fact that they're totally engaged. I mean, they literally were responding within seconds of having heard this information, and they are really putting pressure throughout the region. So I'm not convinced yet that it's hopeless, but I'm convinced it's a serious problem.
Well, it seems to me, I mean, at this point now, at some point, we've got to make a decision. Now that they have, this missile flew 50 minutes in the air. Now General Mattis is saying it can reach the continental United States. That puts every American in jeopardy. So now,
remember what they did, which was pretty clever, is they fired the missile very high.
Yep.
So so it looks on the surface like a relatively short range, but that's because they were using the energy to push it
upwards.
Upwards. So we think that probably, if you straightened it out, you could reach Washington, D.C. with this missile. Now, I happened this morning to be with Leon Panetta, who used to be both Secretary of Defense and the head of the CIA, and he was saying that he's reasonably confident that we can defeat one or two ICBMs if we had to with our ballistic missile defense system. But he also, I think, is moving in a direction. I don't want to put words in Leon's mouth, but he also is moving in a direction you've heard me talk about, which is that we have to take seriously the idea of a shoot-on-launch response, which kills the missile. If our listeners can follow this, when a missile first starts to rise, it's pretty direct and pretty straight. And so that's actually the best time to try to kill it, because you have the easiest shot at it. And North Korea is a relatively narrow peninsula, so you could actually have aircraft on a 24-hour alert sitting offshore, actually flying offshore with hypersonic weapons and go after.
Listen, I agree.
The minute they're launched.
But this is not perfect technology. One time I remember discussing this very topic with you. I want to have 40 shots at it, not one or two. And if he launches two simultaneously, then what do we do? Or three simultaneously?
Well, look, this, in my judgment, this makes it imperative that Congress pass a dramatically bigger defense budget and include investing in a mid-course up in space capability, include a dramatically enhanced continental U.S. capability and include an ability on launch. So you think of it as a three-layered system. You try to kill it first on the way up, you try to kill it while it's in space, and then you try to kill it when it comes down. That gives you, if you do it right, it probably gives you 20 or 30 shots at this thing.
Yeah.
And you should be able to build a system that has a pretty high likelihood of doing that.
Now, I know the world and everybody is sort of rocked with all the allegations in Washington and the media world and Matt Lauer and Garrison Keillor and Al Franken and John Conyers, et cetera. But this is a clear and present danger to the U.S. Similarly, I think the Republican Party now in the next 3 weeks, it's do or die for them in the Senate. And that is, look, they've only confirmed half of the president's appointments in a year. That is an unforgivably low number. Mitch McConnell has whined and complained about excessive expectations. They never got their 7.5-year promise of repeal and replace done. How confident are you that this tax cut bill is actually going to pass and they'll go into conference and the president will have a bill to sign before Christmas?
Oh, I would say 80 or 90% confident.
Now, listen, whoa. I am not that confident. Convince me why, because No,
I'm not. No, you didn't ask me to convince you. You asked me how I felt.
No, I know, but I want you to convince me because I feel a lot better. I mean, that's what friends do.
Okay. And by the way, I should just say for the audience's sake, I need to thank you. I had no idea how bad my voice had gotten the other night. And other than the fact that you lectured me publicly for the entire country on how to take care of my voice.
No, it sounds a lot better. But listen, I hope you noticed in the interview that I talked a lot more than I usually would.
I know. But anyway, I just want to apologize for the entire audience. I didn't feel like I
No.
my end of the bargain.
No, listen, it happens. All right, got to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll have more with Newt Gingrich on the other side of this break. All right, as we continue, Newt Gingrich remains with us, author of the book Vengeance.
The thing I most like about where we are right now in the tax bill is that I think the president learned the key lesson of the failure with Obamacare, which is that the legislative process comes down to 50 senators plus the vice president and 218 House members and the president's signature. And if you can't find a way, it's a numbers game. If you can't find a way to get to 50 plus the vice president and you can't find a way to get to 218, you're not going to get a law, period. You know the most fabulous, idealistic bill in history. And if you can't get those numbers right, you lose. The president said yesterday when he was asked about Senator Corker's proposal that they have a target, they have a trigger 5 or 6 years out. If they don't get enough economic growth, something will be triggered, et cetera. And he said, look, I don't particularly like it, but if that's what it takes to get the bill, then I would sign it. And that was the right answer, because you don't want to say, I'm going to kill the bill over some argument 6 years from now. You got lots of stuff you can do between now and 6 years from now. Plus, I think if you look at the growth numbers that came in this morning, we're already at 3.3 without the tax cut. So we have a real chance here. And the way the president's gone around the planet, by the way, creating American jobs, getting contracts signed, country after country, there's a lot of underlying momentum building here. So I think what they've done, they sat down brilliantly with Senator Collins. She had a very specific concern. They said to her, how about we make in order 2 bills you'll offer on health care that will be brought up in the Senate and we'll pass it. She said that satisfies my primary concern. Now she's in. There's been a much more personal, much more what a legislative process should be. And so I think that they're on a roll. Could it fall apart? Sure. When you only have a 2-vote majority or a 3-vote margin, anything can happen. But I just sense that they're close to it. Let me also point out on the appointments, by the way, McConnell the other day said, okay, I am now getting seriously fed up. And I think they have a rule that says if you say you're going to filibuster a nominee, it takes 30 hours before you can get to the vote. And he said, maybe we ought to reduce that to 8. And if that doesn't work, maybe we ought to reduce it to 4. When he said that, all of a sudden the Democrats agreed to 85 different nominations being approved by unanimous consent. Just like that. So here's my proposal. If the Democrats don't want to meet in the White House on the budget, let's do to budget votes and spending votes what they've already done to Supreme Court votes. Let's just make it a simple majority. Then you don't have to worry about meeting with Schumer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been saying this. Now, somebody did us a big favor, and nobody ever took note of it, and that is Senator Grassley of Iowa, because with a lot of the court appointments and the judgeships that are appointed by the president, they used to have a courtesy rule where the home state senators would sign off on it. And he said, forget about it. It's never going to happen. So I'm not wasting my time. And that was a precedent set by Harry Reid. And the same with this, antiquated rule that Mitch McConnell's clinging to that is killing the president's agenda.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of the things you can tell is different. In the old days, a traditional Republican would have tried to find a way to appease the Democrats. What's now happening is a new spirit is infecting them, the spirit of Trump, if you will. That it was to me very clear that what's happening is the Republicans are getting tougher. Instead of trying to appease the Democrats, they're standing up to them. Now, that in my career, I have never seen this level of toughness among Republicans in the Senate.
All right, we're going to have to leave it go there. I'm glad you're feeling better, Mr. Speaker. It was good to see you the other night. By the way, you see the picture of me on the New York Times Sunday Magazine? Wasn't it a nice picture? Yeah,
did you see all the nice things I said about you?
You were great. I mean, but the problem is you have to get past that hideous picture to see it.
Well, it's the New York Times.
I know.
They're not going to make you a pinup boy. I hate to tell you this. If your goal in life was to be a pinup boy for the New York Times, you need to move about 200
seriously?
yards to the left.
By the way, I was there with the Gingrich that stole Christmas. So I should have learned a long time ago to follow your lead and stay out of these stupid newspapers.
No, I think it was a good article for you. In fact, I had some friends of ours tell me yesterday how surprised they were at how totally positive the article was.
I didn't see it exactly the same way, but it's about me. What do I know? Mr. Speaker, you're very kind. I'm glad you're feeling better. 800